Hey everyone, good morning. Yeah, so welcome to uh, my space. So in today I am recording a video for the freshers and for the absolute beginner who wants to learn MuleSoft. So today I'll explain okay what is MuleSoft, what is it used for, what is an API, and if you are in the first year or if you are in the final year of your degree, whether it is VCA, BCIT, MCA, BTech, and if you want to learn MuleSoft, so this video is for you only. So, and I'm gonna explain in very simple terms so that you can understand and you can create first API and you can test. So before we jump into the uh, core topic so I'm just gonna introduce myself, quick introduction. So myself Naseem Khan, I'm working in Cognizant as a technology architect. I'm having more than 14 years of IT experience, and I'm holding various MuleSoft certificate as well. So yeah, let's move to the topic. Yeah. So first is what is MuleSoft and why it is used, or why do we need to learn MuleSoft, right? So first thing, just to make you understand that MuleSoft is an integration platform which helps uh, organizations connect one system to another system, and we can say which helps organization connect applications, data, and devices, right, to automate the process. So in today's world, everything is all about data, and to transmit the data from one system to another system, we need the intermediate, we need the bridge. And using MuleSoft ESB, we can create our API so that it transmits the data from one system to another system. So MuleSoft is, you can say, is acts as a mediator, right, to transmit from one system to another system, right? And in MuleSoft, it's very easy to learn. And if you and MuleSoft has been acquired by Salesforce, so it's a huge, scope in this ecosystem. So if you want to learn MuleSoft, you should start with this video, and then you can gradually, follow my number of videos which will be coming on in next few days, right? So MuleSoft, you can understand, right? It uses we can use this MuleSoft platform to create an API. And API, what is an API? The question comes in your mind that what is an API, right? So the first thing is API is stands for Application Programming Interface. You must have studied this in your curriculum, right? So API is a set of rules and protocols, right, that allows different software or systems to communicate. So it's the way of communication from one system to another system. And in a very simple terms, if I tell you, we all go to our restaurant, right? And what we do as a customer, we go and sit on the table, right? And the waiter comes, and then he or she takes your order, right? And he or she noted down, okay, okay, what you want. And then what he'll do, he or she goes to the kitchen or their point of contact, and they'll, okay, one plate of biryani, let's say one plate of biryani, table number 8, right? They want. So what waiter does? Waiter takes the order from you and then passes the information to the kitchen, right? And then once the biryani, your order is ready, then kitchen guy will inform the same waiter, okay, the biryani is ready, you can get it and then serve it to that customer, right? So in the same way, API does the same thing. It takes the data request, it takes in the data from one system as a request, and then pushes transmit the data to the receiver system, right? And then it takes the response from the system B, and then give it back to the system A, where it takes the response, right? So API is acting as a bridge between a system A and system B, right? So we can say that it is a mediator, right? So that is, I mean, and with the using of MuleSoft ESB, we can create our own API. Okay. So we can, until here it's clear, right? What is MuleSoft and what is an API, right? So with the using of MuleSoft, we can create an API, and that API, if we deploy, and we can expose that API to any system, so that system can consume this API, right? And then use. So MuleSoft is using API-led connectivity. Okay. API-led connectivity. What is API-led connectivity? API-led connectivity is, we can say, it is a core tenant of MuleSoft's platform, right? And it is an architectural approach. So in this one, we have three layers, distinct layer. Three layers are, first is experience API. So this API we are exposing to the customer, to the client. And then we have process API. Okay, experience API. And then we have process API. In the process API, we do transformation, right? We do transformation and add different logic. Okay, whatever logic if we need to in incorporate in our API. So we have in API-led connectivity, we have three layers. Experience API, which is used to, which we can expose to the client, and then client can consume this API or can invoke this API. And this experience API further invoke our process API where we need transformation. So the next question should come in your mind, that what is transformation, right? So let's assume that system A is there. System A and system A sends the request in English language, okay? And this system B, which takes this request, can understand Hindi only. So what it will do? So this API takes the request from this in English language, and then in process API we transform this English language to Hindi language because the end system understand only Hindi, right? So we need to transform English to Hindi. So these transformation can be done in the process API and in system API. If any, suppose if any database is there, or if needs to be get the data from any different API, so we need to invoke the system API. We need to add this logic in the system API to connect to the database. So suppose if we don't have anything, any logic needs to be designed for the system API, so only experience API and process API in this example will work. So in process API, we have transformed English to Hindi, and then we can propagate the response. Okay. So in API-led connectivity, we have three layers: experience API, which we are exposing to the client. So client can invoke only experience API. Then experience API will further invoke process API if we have any transformation or logic defined there. And process API is invoking system API. So system API, what it does is it connects to the downstream system if any database or any REST API is there. So system API will communicate with those downstream system, right? Process API should not communicate to this any downstream system or database, right? So this is API-led connectivity. Okay. Now we it's okay. Now the next question is how we can create our API, how we write a code, right, to create an API. So we write a code using Anypend Studio IDE, and in MuleSoft we have two major component, that Anypend Studio where we write the code or we create an API. Okay. And Anypend platform is a platform where we can deploy our API. so that it can be available for anyone to use where whomever, I mean, if we share the anyone our API to anyone, so they can use, they can invoke, they can consume our API. So anypend platform, with the using of anypend platform, we can deploy our API, we can manage our API, we can enforce the security. So all these things can be done with the using of Anypend platform. Anypend Studio is used to create an API, to write a code and all these things, right? And request response, right? Request is what takes as a request. Request in simple language, right? Request. So API takes request from system A. Let's suppose system A, API takes request from system A, and then after that, any transformation or anything, we can API can respond with the with the same payload to the system B. So that's the complete travel of any message from system A to system B. Now the question is payload. If you can, you will hear that payload, uh, this term payload. So we need to understand what is payload. So payload is the main data or body of a message. We can say that passes through a Mule applications flow. So payload, suppose system A, our API is there, right? Our API takes the request from system A in English language, okay? So by default, it comes under payload. So payload contains whatever request data system A sends, it resides in payload, under payload, right? So payload we can understand, we can relate as a envelope, right? Inside the envelope we have a letter, okay? So in letter, you can say letter is the envelope. Okay, and if we again, override the payload, so the existing payload will go away, right? And then the new payload will be overridden. So if we need to retain our old payload, so we need to add in the we need to set in the variable. Okay, so payload understand, I think I hope you understand that what is payload. So payload is nothing but a body of a message, right? Body of a message which takes which comes in a request or which comes in a response. Okay, so payload and transformation we understood that what is transformation, and the other thing is variable. So variable we can create our own variable so that it hold any any data inside the variable. Okay, if we set variable and put any message inside the variable, so we can say it's a pre-event storage location where it holds values. Okay, so let's say suppose in Experience API, it it receives request from system A. Okay, so by default it contains hello. This message it contains in English. So it invokes Experience API. So in Experience API, in payload, what would be stored, right? In payload, hello would be stored because hello was the body message. It send system A sends to this Experience API. Now, if we need to set payload in Experience API, so if we do set payload in Experience API, so this hello will get lost because we are overriding this payload with our custom message. So if we need to store this payload, so we can set in the Experience API, we can set variable we can give name anything. We can name anything like, let's say, original payload. We can put original payload as a variable name and put this value as payload, so that in original payload variable we can store this, we can retain this value. So I'll show you in this just a quick example. Okay, so now the next thing is variable we can understand. We understood transformation, payload, request response, independent studio, independent platform, and what is API-led connectivity, what is an API, what is MuleSoft. This is clear, right? So if you, I mean, just recap this video, you will definitely understand. Now, in order to, create our own API, first we need to set up this Independent Studio, Independent Platform, and all these things, and to a Postman. We need Postman to test it, to test the API, and Independent Studio we need this to create our API, right? So in order to download the Independent Studio, you need to go to independentmulesoft.com login. If you have this, you can put your credentials. If you don't have the account, you need to just go and sign up and then remember this username and password. So for me, it is 12n010101. So yeah, if you just sign in, you can go there, Independent Studio, the desktop ID for building and testing APIs. You can download this. And you can, once you download this, you can go and then open this Independent Studio from this the shortcut. Okay, you just keep the download path, and then you can open this Independent Studio. Now we'll explore this Independent platform. I told this Independent platform is used to deploy and manage our API. So we just need this in starting. I'll talk about this runtime manager. So in runtime manager, we can deploy our API using jar or direct from the Independent Studio as well. So once this API is deployed, let's say this SAPI employee detail is deployed. So this is the application URL you can give, and then you can test. You can give share with anyone, and they can invoke or consume your API. So let's say create our first API. You can go to file, new, okay, Mule project. So I'll just create very simple project. First our first API. Okay, keep this Mule runtime as a latest version, and then click on finish. So you see this our first API is created. The project is created. Now I'll just show very few, I mean, simple things. So yeah, it is setting build path. So in this API, we need listener, right? Listener is the entry point of an API. We can say the entry point of an API. I'll just close this project and this project. Okay, now you can say this. So first we need this listener. Listener is the entry point of an API. If someone invoke our API, so the flow comes here only. So if you just drag listener here in your flow and go to the connector configuration plus and just keep it as it is. Port is 8081. You can test connection as well. Okay, it should be successful. Testing connection with HTTP listener config. Yeah, it's taking time. So listener is the first entry point into your API. So we can give the port and the host. Host, I'll keep it as localhost. Okay, I think I'm just going to cancel it. Okay, so I'll just click on OK. And we need to give the path. Okay, so path should be, let's say, our first API. Okay. So this path is nothing but the address of this API, right? If we provide this, then it will execute this flow, right? So this path we need to give, and then HTTP listener config we need to add. Then we'll just add logger. Logger is nothing, just to log a message, okay? entered flow. Yeah, flow started. Now, transformation. This is the transformation message I have talked about, whether if we need to convert into English to Hindi. So, it the format output payload is let's say we need to, give the response in propagate the response in JSON format, right? So I'll just create our own custom message. API message. Welcome to new world. Okay. Now I've just saved it. Okay. Now right click and then run project our first API. So once it is deployed, then we'll test in the Postman. So for Postman, yeah, to download the Postman, you need to go to this postman.com and downloads, and then you can download this if you are using Windows or yeah. So you can respectively you can download and then install this Postman. So it will be installed and it looks like this. Okay. So let's see if it is getting deployed. So meanwhile, yeah, I'll just http localhost port we have given as 8081, path we have given our first API, and default method was get method. Okay, so yeah, method we have, okay, this get method was there if you see, default method. So localhost 8081 we have given, right? Yeah. So in console, we can see this deployment progress. So once it is deployed, it will show it is getting deployed. Initializing app. Okay, now we can clear the console from here. Clear console, right? Yeah, it is deployed, right? So I'll just hit this our first API. We can give body, let's say, uh, mm, request request body. If I send it, then it will show API message. The response is API message. Welcome to Mule World. So this is coming from this transform message because we are setting, if you see here, output as a payload, right? So we have set the payload as our custom message, this API message, welcome to the Mule world. So in response, whatever the latest payload, whatever the payload is, last payload is there, that will get propagated into the response. So in last, until here, once it comes into this flow, it comes here, flow comes here, then it goes here to logger. If you see, logger should be written here, flow is started, right? We have given this flow is started. Then flow comes here. Until here, what would be the payload value? Can you tell me? If flow comes to the logger, then what would be the payload? So payload would be this one, request body. This one is the payload because it comes as a in the request, right? So after that, we are setting this payload with this message. So the payload got overwritten, and then the latest value of the payload is welcome to Mule World. So that's the reason why it is coming as welcome to Mule World. So if we delete this and we save it, and it will get redeployed. So what would be the response? Can anyone tell what would be the response of this? Okay, it got redeployed. Now, if we send the request, then Earlier it was the message was a response was API message welcome to the Mule world. Now the response would be request body. Why? Because this payload we have sent into this request, and then until here the request the payload value is whatever we have received from this. So we are not overriding this payload. So the payload is still payload will still remain same. So we are getting this request body message. So this is just a first, I mean, a simple overview, and so just go through, and then we'll come up with the next video. So hope you like this video, and share with your friends and colleagues. And so thanks everyone. Yeah, thank you once again, and have a great day, and happy learning. Yeah, thank you. Bye.